Hi students, in this video, let's discuss the questions that were part of the quiz on percentages, average and allegations. Now, do remember to attempt all the questions before you go ahead and see this video. Alright, let's get started. We move to the first question. A, B, C and D are four friends. The average age of the four of them is 22 years. D is older than B by 4 years. A is 1.5 times as old as B. The age of C is the average of the age of A and B. Which of the following is closest to the age of C? Alright. Now, what's the answer to this question? The correct answer is option B, that is 22 years. Now, let's discuss how to arrive at the answer. It's given that the average age of the four of them is 22 years, right? So, we can conclude that the total of the four of them, the age of the four of them would be 22 into 4, which is equal to 88. Alright. Now, it's given that D is older than B by 4 years. So, D is equal to B plus 4. And it's given that A is 1.5 times as old as B. So, A is equal to 1.5 into B. And C is the average of A and B. So, that's A plus B by 2. And for A, let's substitute 1.5B. And we have B as B itself. So C in terms of B is 1.25B. Alright. Now let's substitute these into this equation over here. Instead of A, we write 1.5B. Instead of B, we write B itself. For C, we write 1.25B. That's over here. And for D, we write B plus 4. Alright. So that adds up to 88. Right. So this is 4.75B is equal to 88 minus 4, which is 84. So B is equal to 84 by 4.75, but we need to find the age of C, and C is 1.25 into B. So that's 1.25 into 84 divided by 4.75, and that's approximately 22. And that gives you answer option B as the correct answer. Alright, let's move to the next question. Three friends were contesting to become president of the school club. The winner got 20 more votes than the person who came second. Also, it is known that the winner got 40 votes more than the person who came third. Alright, the average of the number of votes received by two persons other than the winner, so that's the second and third person, right, is 80. Find the total number of votes cast. So that's what we need to find, and it's given there were no invalid votes. Alright, so what's the answer to this question? The correct answer is option D, that is 270. Alright, let's discuss how to arrive at the answer. Let A, B and C be the three friends that are contesting, and let A be the winner. Alright, it's given that the winner got 20 votes more than the person who came second. So let B be the person who came second and C is the person who came third. Now, it's also given that the winner got 40 votes more than the person who came third. Now over here we can see that the difference between the winner and the person who came second is 20. Now if this is Y plus 40, this has to be Y plus 20. So we have three people's votes over here. This guy got Y plus 40, this guy got Y plus 20 and person C got Y votes. And it's given that the average of the number of votes received by two persons other than the winner, that's B and C, is 80. So the total of votes received by B and C will be 80 into 2, and that is Y plus 20 plus Y, or 2Y plus 20. And on solving this, you get Y is equal to 70, right? And therefore the total votes received would be Y plus 40 plus Y plus 20 plus Y. That's equal to 3Y plus 60, right? And you have found over here that Y is equal to 70. So that's 210 plus 60, which is equal to 270, and that is your answer. Let's go to the next question. A container with 80 liters mixture of milk and water has milk and water in the ratio 3:5. Thomas takes out P liters from this container and replaces it with pure milk so that now the ratio of milk to water is 1:1. Find P. Alright, so what's the answer to this question? The correct answer is option C, that is 16 liters. Now over here, let's discuss quickly two methods with which you could have solved this question. Now over here in method 1, initially we have 30 liters of milk, right? How did I get that? It's given that we have 80 liters and milk is to water is in the ratio 3:5. So how do you find how much milk and how much water is there? Now because it's 3 is to 5, so 3 plus 5 is equal to 8. So you divide 80 liters into 8 equal parts. So each part would be 10 liters. And you take 3 parts, so that's 30 liters. So milk is 30 liters, and over here to find water you take 5 parts, that's 50 liters. So water is 50 liters. Alright, so to start with we have 30 liters of milk, and let's say that we are taking out P liters. Now because the ratio of milk to water in this mixture is 3 is to 5, right? So when you take out P liters, there will be 3 by 8 into P liters of milk in that P liters. And we are replacing it with another P liters, and that is pure milk, so we add P. So that gives us 30 minus 3 by 8 P plus P, and that has to be equal to 40, because it's given that after this change happens, the ratio of milk to water is 1 is to 1, and we have 80 liters, right? So milk has to be 40 liters and water has to be 40 liters. So this 40 is what we have over here as 40. Now on solving this equation, you will get 5 by 8 P is equal to 10, or P is equal to 16 liters. So this is one way of solving it. Or the second way is you can use allegations. Now we only take into consideration milk. If I take 1 liter of the initial mixture, there would be 3 by 8 liters of milk, right? Because the proportion of milk to water is 3 is to 5. Now afterwards I'm adding pure milk. In pure milk, the ratio of milk is 1 by 1 itself, right? So it's 1 itself. If I take 1 liter of pure milk, it has 1 liter of milk in itself, right? So after I do this mixing, the ratio of milk to water is given as 1 is to 1. So that means if I take 1 liter out, there would be 1 by 2 liter of milk in it. So that's this 1 by 2 over here. Now the difference between 3 by 8 and 1 by 2 is equal to 1 by 8. So I get 1 by 8 over here, and the difference between 1 and 1 by 2 is 1 by 2 itself, right? So the ratio is 1 by 2 is to 1 by 8, which is the same as 4 is to 1. Now this 4 is to 1 mixture will be 80 liters, right? Because we replaced, we did not add more milk. We took out and we replaced the same exact amount back. So the ratio of the initial mixture to the pure milk is 4 is to 1. And the total of this is 80 liters. So how do we find this one over here? We divide 80 liters into 5 parts. How did we get 5? That's 4 plus 1. So when you divide 80 by 5, that's 80 divided by 5, right? And you take one part out of it. So that's into 1. So that's 80 by 5 into 1, which gives you 16 liters as the answer. Let's read the next question. An experiment is conducted 80 times and the average result is 55. If the average of the first 48 results is 50 and the average of the last 31 results is 60, find the 49th result. Alright, so what's the answer to this question? The correct answer is option E, that is 140. So over here, let's discuss two methods with which we can solve this question. Now I've listed 1, 2, 3, etc. up to 80. So let these be the 80 experiments that were conducted. Now it's given that the first 48 experiments had an average of 50 and the last 31 experiments had an average of 60, right? So one way to find the answer is the average for all the 80 experiments is 55. So the total would be 80 into 55 minus the total of these 48 experiments minus the total of these 31 experiments, right? So you would just be left with the 49th experiments score. Alright, so that's 80 into 55 minus 48 into 50 minus 31 into 60, and if you do this you will get the answer as 140. Now let me tell you one more method with which you can solve this. Now we know that the average of the 80 experiments is 55. Now therefore remember, average is a number with which you could replace each of these 80 experiments without changing the total, right? Alright, so let's consider the first 48 experiments. The average over here is 50, right? So there is a deficit of 5 in each of these, right? And because there are 48 experiments, the total deficit would be 5 into 48. Now what do I mean with deficit? It's the case where I replace each of these with 55, right? Now if I replace each of these 80 with 55, and if I consider only the first 48, and because the average of the first 48 experiments is 50, So I could replace the first 48 with 50. So over here you can see that there is a deficit of 5, right, in each of these 48. So that's 5 into 48. Now what about this case where I take these 31 into consideration? I could again write 55 over here, because that's the average of all the 80 experiments, and because the average of the last 31 is 60, so I could replace this with 60. So you can see that there is a surplus of 5 for each of them. So there is a total surplus of 5 into 31, which is 155. So I have a deficit of 240 and a surplus of 155. So this would be a net deficit of 85, right? So that's minus 240 plus 155. You will get minus 85, or a deficit of 85. Now this deficit has to be made up by this person over here, right? By this experiment over here, the 49th experiment. So therefore the score in the 49th experiment has to be the average, which is 55 plus 85. So 55 plus 85 gives you the answer as 140. Again, that's answer option E over here. Let's read the next question. A man travels half of his journey by bus at 50 km per hour, one third of the remaining journey at 40 km per hour, and the remaining part of the journey at 20 km per hour. Find the average speed of the entire journey. Alright, remember, average speed is total distance by total time. So what's the answer to this question? The correct answer is option B, that is 32 km per hour. Now let's see how to do this. Let this be the total journey of the person. It's mentioned that he travels half of his journey at 50 km per hour. So if D is the total distance, D by 2 is traveled at 50 km per hour. Now it's mentioned that 1/3 of the remaining journey he travels at 40 km per hour. So the remaining journey would be D minus D by 2, which is D by 2 itself, right? So 1/3 of the remaining part is 1/3 of D by 2. That's equal to D by 6. So he's traveling D by 6 at 40 km per hour. And what is this part over here? That would be this much, which is D by 2 minus this much, which is D by 6. So D by 2 minus D by 6 gives you D by 3. So this part of the journey is D by 3 in distance, and he travels it at 20 km per hour. Now remember, average speed is total distance by total time. So over here the total distance is just D, right? Because D by 2 plus D by 6 plus D by 3 is D, and we have even formulated D by 2, D by 6 and D by 3, taking D as the total distance. Alright, so the total distance is D. Now speed is distance by time, therefore time is distance by speed, right? So what's the time that he takes over here? That would be D by 2 by 50. So D by 2 by 50, which is the same as D by 100. Similarly, the time taken for this part of the journey will be D by 6 by 40, which is D by 240. And over here you have D by 3 by 20, which is the same as D by 60. So now you just need to solve this expression over here. You can see that D, and over here also you have D, these gets cancelled out. So the answer is 1 by 100 plus 1 by 240 plus 1 by 60. That simplifies to 100 into 240 by 740. And you can calculate this, and approximately the answer is 32.4 km per hour. And you can see that among the given answer options, option B is the closest to 32.4. Therefore the correct answer is option B, that is 32 km per hour. Let's read the next question. A can clean a room in 12 minutes, B can clean a room in 15 minutes, and C can clean a room in 6 minutes. The average number of rooms cleaned per hour per person if A, B and C are employed. That's what we need to find. Alright, so what's the correct answer to this question? The correct answer is option C, that is 6 1/3. Now let's see how we get this. A can clean one room in 12 minutes. So in 1 minute, he would have cleaned 1/12 of the room, right? So how do you get this? You divide this part by 12. So that 12 by 12 becomes 1. So you have 1 minute over here. So when you do this, you need to divide this part also by 12. So you get 1/12 of a room. So in 60 minutes, so you need to multiply this with 60 to get to 60 minutes, right? So this part also has to be multiplied with 60. So 60 by 12 gives you 5 rooms. So A can clean 5 rooms in 60 minutes. Alright, now why did we take 60 minutes? Because that's what we have been asked per hour, right? So we need to convert it into 1 hour or 60 minutes. Alright, let's think of B. Now it's given that B can clean one room in 15 minutes. So in 60 minutes, B can clean 4 rooms, right? So that's 1 by 15 into 60. Alright, now similarly, C can clean one room in 6 minutes. So 6 minutes, C can do one room. So 60 minutes, that's 10 times, right, of the time available for one room. So in 60 minutes, C can clean 10 rooms. Alright, so we need to find the number of rooms cleaned per hour per person if A, B and C are employed. So we need to take the average over here. So we have 5 over here, 4 over here and 10 over here. And when you take the average, that's 5 plus 4 plus 10 by 3. That's equal to 6 1 by 3. And that is option C. Let's read the next question. Find 20% of 30% of 50% of 80. So what's the answer to this question? The correct answer is option B, that is 2.4. So we have to take 20% of 30% of 50% of 80, right? So this would be the answer. Now 20 by 100 is the same as 1 by 5 and 30 by 100 is the same as 3 by 10. 50 by 100 is 1 by 2 and into 80. So 80 into 1 by 2 gives you 40. 3 by 10 into 40 gives you 12, right? So over here you have 1 0 and this 0 gets cancelled. So you're left with 3 into 4, which is 12, and 12 into 1 by 5 is equal to 2.4, and that is your answer, which is option B. Let's read the next question. In a housing society, 40% of houses subscribe newspaper 1 and newspaper 2. Alright, if 60% of houses that subscribe to newspaper 1 did not subscribe to newspaper 2, what percentage of houses subscribed to newspaper 1? Alright, so what's the correct answer to this question? The correct answer is option D, that is 100%. Now you can either assume that there are 100 houses and solve the question, or you can take it as a variable, for example X houses. So it's much faster if you take, for example, 100 houses. So let's see how to do it with this case, and in the end I'll quickly mention how you can use a variable also over here. Now if there are 100 houses in the housing society, 40% of the houses subscribe to newspaper 1 and newspaper 2, right? So that would be 40 houses, right? 40% of 100 is 40. Now 40 houses subscribe to N1 and N2. Now over here we have a Venn diagram. Now this circle represents houses that have subscribed to newspaper 1, and this circle over here represents houses that have subscribed to newspaper 2, and you can see there is an intersection over here. Now we know that 40 houses subscribe to both N1 and N2, so this part over here is equal to 40. Now let's take X as the number of houses that have subscribed to newspaper 1. Now it is given that 60% of houses that subscribe to newspaper 1 did not subscribe to newspaper 2. Now over here you can see that this part over here is that part in the Venn diagram where people who have subscribed to newspaper 1 but have not subscribed to newspaper 2 would be there, right? How do you understand that? This circle is for newspaper 2, right? So because they have not subscribed to newspaper 2, it should be outside this circle, and it should be inside this circle because they have subscribed to newspaper 1. So you can see that that's this area over here. Now it's given that this is 60% of X, right? So this is 60% of X. Now this whole circle is 100% of X. So the remaining part, which is 40% of X, should be this part. Now therefore 40% is the same as 0.4. So 40, which is what we have found over here, is equal to 100 minus 60, that is 40, right? 40% of X. So 40 is equal to 40% of X. Therefore X is equal to 100 on solving. So X is equal to 100, and we had taken that there are 100 houses in this society. Therefore 100 by 100 is equal to 100%. Therefore everybody in this society subscribed to newspaper 1. Now if you had taken the number of houses as A, which is a variable, then the number of houses which subscribe to newspaper 1 and newspaper 2 would be 0.4A, right? You can use this also to solve it. Now again, you can go ahead and instead of wherever we use the absolute number, you use the variable. In that case also you will get the answer as 100%. So the correct answer to this question is option D, that is 100%. Let's read the next question. Bob decides to write a mock exam every day in a particular month. The percentage change of the score that he is getting from the first day of the month to each other day of the month is less than or equal to 60%. If he scored 240 marks on the second day, which of the following cannot be the score on the third day of the month? Alright, so what's the answer to this question? The correct answer is option B, that is 1000. So let's see how we get this answer. Now over here I write 1, 2, 3 etc. up to the last day of the month. Alright. Now it's given that on the second day he scored 240 and we have to find what score he could not get on the third day. Now it's given that over here, if you take any day among these 30 or 31 days which are part of this month, and if you compare it with the first day, there would not be a change greater than 60%, right? Alright, so there are two steps that you need to follow to arrive at the correct answer to this question. First, from the second day information given, that is this 240 over here, you have to find the range of score that he could have got on the first day. And using that score, you can find the range of scores he could get on any day. Not only the third day, on any day he would get only in that range scores. Alright, so let's get started with the first step. We know that on the second day he got 240 and let's take the score on the first day as X. Now this 240 has to be within 60% increase of X or 60% decrease of X, right? Because a change can be either an increase or a decrease. Alright, so let's take the case where there is an increase. So if X increased by 60% and you got 240, then X would be 150, right? That's 240 by 1.6. You can also check 150. If you increase 150 by 60%, you get to 240. Alright, now if X decreased by 60% and you get to 240, then X would be 240 by 1 minus 60%. That is 240 by 0.4, which is equal to 600, right? So therefore, we get that the score on the first day has to be within the range 150 to 600. So that's the range of the score he could have got on the first day. Alright, now we know that any day, if you pick any day in this month, the change from this score, that is X, can only be a maximum of 60%, either an increase or a decrease. So the lower limit over here is 150. So we reduce that by 60%, and the higher limit over here is 600. We increase that by 60%, right? So if you decrease 150 by 60%, that would be 150 into 0.4, which is equal to 60, right? Similarly, if you increase 600 by 60%, that would be 600 into 1.6, that gives you 960. Therefore, the score on any day can only be in the range 60 to 960. And in the options, you can see that option B is beyond this range. That's 1000 over here. Therefore, the correct answer to this question is option B, that is 1000. Let's read the next question. Benji noticed that household expenditure rose by 10%. Household expenditure consists of food expenditure and maintenance. If food expenditure rose 5% and maintenance rose 15%, then food expenditure is what percent of household expenditure? Alright, so what's the answer to this question? The correct answer is option C, that is 50%. So over here, I have 5% and 15%, and it's mentioned that the net rise is 10%, right? So the difference between 10 and 5 is 5, and between 15 and 10 is 5. So the ratio of food expenditure to maintenance has to be 5:5, or that's the same as 1:1. And therefore, you can see that food expenditure is 50% of household expenditure, right? Because you're just taking this part over here. So you are taking 1 out of 1 plus 1. That's 1 by 2, which is equal to 50%. Now you can also just check that, say household expenditure is 100, and let's take that food expenditure is 50 and maintenance is 50. Now if you increase this by 5%, this becomes 52.5, right? Because 10% is 5, so 5% will be half of 5, which is 2.5. Now if you increase 50% by 15%, so that's increasing it by 10% and then 5% more, right? So this 15% is equal to 10% plus 5%. Now 10% of 50 is equal to 5 and 5% is 2.5. So 15% is 5 plus 2.5, which is equal to 7.5. So 50 becomes 57.5 and the total would be 52.5 plus 57.5, which is equal to 110, right? So from 100 it went up to 110. That is a 10% increase. All right, let's go to the next question. Manu has a jar which contains water and milk in the ratio 4:3. He also has a bottle which has water and milk in the ratio 1:6. In what proportion should we take liquid from the jar and bottle to form a mixture in which milk and water are in the ratio 5:2? Alright, now what's the correct answer to this question? The correct answer to this question is option B, that is 1:2, right? Now, even without solving this, you can directly mark B as the answer because this is the only option in which bottle's proportion is higher than jar's proportion, right? Now over here you can see that in the case of jar, the concentration of milk is 3/7, right? This is water is to milk. So milk is 3 parts out of a total of 4 plus 3, that is 7 parts, right? And in the case of the bottle, the proportion of milk to water is 6/7, right? Now you can see that the resultant proportion of milk to water is 5 divided by 5 plus 2. Over here it's milk is to water, that's why we take this 5 over here. So it's 5 by 5 plus 2, which is 5/7. So you can see that it's increasing compared to the jar, right? So, and bottle has better proportion of milk to water than jar. So whatever mixture you are taking, that is, if it's X is to Y, that's jar is to bottle, then this part should be higher than this part. And in the options you can see that there is only one option, which is option B, where the proportion of bottle is higher than jar. So directly you can mark the answer as B. But let's also see mathematically how to solve this. All right, now over here we have seen that in the case of the jar, milk is 3/7 of 1 liter, right? If you take 1 liter from the jar, 3/7 liter will be milk. Similarly, if you take 1 liter from the bottle, 6/7 liters will be milk. And it's given that the resultant mixture, if you take 1 liter of that, 5/7 liters should be milk. So let's write the numbers over here. We have 3/7, 6/7, and the resultant mixture is 5/7. Now the difference between 5/7 and 3/7 is 2/7. Similarly, the difference between 6/7 and 5/7 is 1/7. Therefore, jar is to bottle should be 1/7 is to 2/7, which is the same as 1:2. How do we do that? Just multiply both these numbers with 7. So you get 1:2 as the required ratio of mixing liquid from the jar and bottle. And that is option B. Let's read the next question. A shopkeeper is mixing wheat costing $10 per kilogram and wheat costing $20 per kilogram. He takes 15 kilogram of wheat costing $20 per kilogram. His competitor sells 1 kilogram of wheat at $15 per kilogram. So he also wants to sell at the same price. How much wheat costing $10 per kilogram should he mix to make a profit of $3 per kilogram? Alright, what's the answer to this question? The correct answer is option B, that is 60 kilogram. Now, how do we do that? Over here, he wants to have a profit of $3 per kilogram, right? So profit is $3. Now profit is selling price minus cost price, right? So that's like how much you get and how much you paid to get that which you sold. So selling price has to be $15 per kilogram because that's what he wants to sell at, right? So this is $15 per kilogram. Therefore, the cost price has to be 15 minus 3, that is 12 kilogram, $12 per kilogram. All right. Now over here we have wheat costing $10 per kilogram and $20 per kilogram, and we need to mix it in a ratio such that the resultant cost is $12 per kilogram. Now the difference between 10 and 12 is 2 and 20 and 12 is 8. Therefore the ratio of $10 per kilogram wheat to $20 kilogram per wheat has to be 8/2. So that is this 8/2 over here. And over here it's mentioned that he's taking 15 kilogram of wheat costing $20, right? So he's taking 15 kilogram over here. So 8/2 is equal to x divided by 15. And on solving, you get x is equal to 60 kilogram. So therefore, he has to mix 60 kilogram of wheat costing $10 per kilogram and 15 kilogram of wheat costing $20 per kilogram, so that the effective cost price per kilogram comes down to $12 per kilogram, and he's able to make $3 profit. The correct answer is option B, that is 60 kilogram. Let's read the next question. Tati company sells chips and biscuits. Sales of chips increased by 12% from the previous year, while sales of biscuits reduced by 4%. Total revenue increased by 2%. What is the ratio of revenue from chips sales to biscuit sales? Alright, so what's the correct answer to the question? The correct answer is option C, that is 3:5. Now over here, let the revenue that they get from selling chips be C, the revenue from biscuits is B, and the total revenue is T in the previous year. Therefore, we can say that total revenue is C plus B. Now, in the next year, revenue from chips increased by 12%, so it becomes 1.12 C, and from biscuits it's reduced by 4%, so this becomes 0.96 B, and the total revenue increased by 2%. So this is 1.02 T, right? Therefore, 1.12 C plus 0.96 B is equal to 1.02 T, and instead of T over here, I replace it with C plus B. So the equation becomes 1.12 C plus 0.96 B is equal to 1.02 into C plus B. Now on solving, you get 0.1 C is equal to 0.06 B, or C by B is equal to 6/10, that is 3/5, which is option C. Let's read the next question. 70% of students in a class passed in maths. 40% passed in both maths and science. What percentage of students who passed in maths also passed in science? Alright, so what's the answer to this question? The correct answer is option A, that is 57%. Now let's say we have 100 students, and in that case 70% passed in maths means 70 people passed in maths, right? And it's also given that 40% passed in both maths and science, so 40% of 100 is 40, right? So we just need to find what percentage is 40 out of 70. That's 4/7, which is equal to 57%. Now if you know the percentage conversion table, we have seen that 1/7 is 14%, right? 14.28%. Therefore 4/7 would be 14 into 4, that's approximately 56, right? This is 14.28, so 14.28 into 4 will be a bit higher than 56%, and the closest answer that you have over here is 57%. That is answer option A. Let's read the next question. Alex saw that petrol prices have shot up by 20%. He wants to limit the increase in expenditure to 5% of his usual expenditure. By how much should he reduce his consumption of petrol? Alright, so what's the answer to this question? The correct answer is option C, that is 12.5%, right? So how do we do that? Let's take that the initial expenditure was 100. Now you increase the price of petrol by 20%. So 100 goes to 120. Now by how much should you reduce consumption so that the expenditure is only 5% higher? So from 100, if you increase 100 by 5%, you get to 105, right? So the question is, from 120, if you want to go to 105, by how much percentage should you reduce it? So percentage reduction is change by initial value. Change over here is 120 minus 105, that's 15, and initial value is 120 because you're going in this direction, right? So 15 by 120 into 100, that's equal to 100 by 8, which is equal to 12.5 percentage, and that is answer option C. Let's read the next question. John wanted to divide n by 10. By mistake, he multiplied by 10. Find the percentage change in the answer. Alright, so what's the answer to this question? The correct answer over here is option D, that is 9,900 percentage. Alright, so how do we do this? Now, over here he had n, he wanted to divide by 10, so he would have got n by 10. But he instead multiplied by 10, so he's getting 10n. Now, what's the percentage change? It's the difference by the correct answer, right? And remember, the denominator has to be the correct answer. Why is that so? Because we are finding the percentage change from the correct answer. Because that is what he would have got if he had done it correctly. Now, that is 10n minus n by 10 divided by n by 10, which is the correct answer, into 100, right? On simplifying, you will get that as 99 by 1 into 100, which is equal to 9,900 percentage. That is answer option D over here. Let's read the next question. A person has $10,000. She invests a part of it at 5% per annum and the remaining part at 9% per annum simple interest. Her total income in 5 years is $3,000. Find the amount she invested at 9% per annum. Alright, what's the answer to this question? The correct answer over here is option B, that is $2,500. Now over here you should know that simple interest is calculated as PTR by 100, where P is the principal amount, T is the time, and R is the rate. Now we'll see more of this in the section where we deal with simple interest and compound interest, but because the method over here which we are using is allegation, so that's why this is part of this quiz. Now let's take this as a given. Simple interest is PTR by 100. So over here the interest received is 3,000, the principal is 10,000, the time is 5 years, right? So 3,000 is 10,000 into 5 into R by 100. So you get the rate as 6%. Alright, so she's investing some amount at 5%, some amount at 9%, and the resultant interest rate is 6%. So over here we write 5, 9 and 6 like this. The difference between 5 and 6 is 1 and between 9 and 6 is 3. So the ratio is 3:1. So you just need to divide 10,000 in the ratio 3:1, and we need to find this one over here because that's what is asked over here, right? The amount invested at 9%. So for that you divide 10,000 into 3 plus 1, that's 4 equal parts, and you take one part out of it. So that's 1 by 4 into 10,000, which is equal to 2,500. That is answer option B. Let's read the next question. After 3 equal percentage successive raises, the salary of Stephanie increased from $100 to $800. Find the percentage increase per raise. Alright, so what's the answer to this question? The correct answer is option A, that is 100. So the easiest way is you can just go with the options. So let's go with option A. So initially you have $100, right? So you increase that by 100%. So that's 100 plus 100, which is 200, right? Now again you increase it by 100%, that's 200 plus 200, which is 400, and again you increase it by 100%, that's 400 plus 400, which is equal to 800. So that's matching what's given in the question. Therefore answer option A is the correct answer. Now let's quickly try for option B. If you have starting with 100, you increase it by 50%, so that it becomes 100 plus 50, that's 150, right? Now over here you have 150, you increase that by 50%, so that's 150 plus 75, right? So how much is that? That's 225. Now again you increase 225 by 50%, so this is one increase, this is the second increase, and this is the third increase. You can see that it's not coming anywhere close to 800, right? So you don't need to do it. So that's not the correct answer option. So in this way, by checking the options, you can find the correct answer. Let's also do one more method in which we can approach this. Now over here, I start with X and there is an X percentage increase in salary. Let this be small x. So I get to X dash. Again, it's increased by X percentage. I get to X double dash. Again, it's increased by X percentage. I get to X triple dash, right? So each time I do this, I just have to multiply X. So if I have taken x over here, it would be x into 1 plus x by 100 into 1 plus x by 100 into 1 plus x by 100, and that's what's equal to 800, right? So I can take this x, which is 100, over here. So in that case, I get 1 plus x by 100 to the power 3 is equal to 800 by 100, right? So that means 1 plus x by 100 is equal to 800 by 100, which is 8 to the power 1 by 3. And the cube root of 8 is 2. So 1 plus x by 100 is equal to 2. So x by 100 is equal to 1, or x is equal to 100%. In that case also, you get the answer as option A. Let's read the next question. A bucket has a mixture of two liquids A and B in the ratio 2:7. 10 liters of this mixture is drawn and replaced with 10 liters of liquid A. Now the proportion of A to B becomes 3:5. How many liters of the mixture is there in the bucket? Alright, so what's the correct answer to this question? The correct answer is option A, that is 560 by 11 liters. Now let's discuss quickly two methods with which we can do this. The first method over here is we only treat the liquid A. So initially A is to B is 2:7, right? So if you take 1 liter out, you will get 2/9 A, right? Liquid A will be 2/9 liters. Now you're replacing this with 100% A liquid. So if you have 1 liter out of that, that would be 1 liter A itself, right? So that's 1/1. And the resultant mixture A is to B is 3:5. So in 1 liter of this mixture, A would be 3/8 liters. Now the difference between 2/9 and 3/8 is 11/72. The difference between 1 and 3/8 is 5/8. Therefore, the ratio has to be 5/8 is to 11/72. Now you can multiply both these with 72. In that case, this becomes 11/72 into 72, which is just 11, and this is 5/8 into 72, which is equal to 45. So the ratio is 45:11. Now it's given that this part over here is 10 liters, right? So let's this part be x. So the ratio has to be maintained. That's 45/11 is equal to x by 10, and you solve and you get x is equal to 450/11. But remember, we have to find x plus 10 because that's what's asked, right? We need to find how many liters of the mixture was there in the bucket initially. Now what is x over here? That's the scenario where 10 liters was drawn out and what is remaining is x, right? And into x you pour 10 liters more. So the total amount, and this is a replacement, okay, it's not an addition. The total amount initially was x plus 10, that's 450/11 plus 10, which is 560/11, and that is answer option A. We can also do it like this. Initially, let's say that there is 9x liters of water. So 2x would be liquid A and 7x would be B because the ratio is 2:7, right? Now you're taking out 10 liters, so you're left with 9x minus 10 liters, and in this the ratio is still 2/7. So if you want to find the amount of liquid A in 9x minus 10 liters of the initial liquid, that would be 9x minus 10 into 2/9, right? Now that's this part over here. Now to this you're adding 10 liters of liquid A. So the total amount of liquid A you have is 9x minus 10 into 2/9 plus 10. And the total amount of liquid B you have is 9x minus 10 into 7/9, right? Because in 9x minus 10 liters, 7/9 parts will be liquid B because the ratio is 2/7, right? So total 9 parts, 7 parts will be B. So that's why 7/9 over here. And this over here is equal to 3/5 as per the question, right? Now you can just cross multiply and solve. So you multiply this 5 with the numerator over here and 3 with the denominator over here, and you equate it, and on solving you will get x is equal to 560/99, but we need to find 9x because that's the initial amount that we had over here. So 9x would be 560/99 into 9, which is equal to 560/11, which is the same answer that we got over here, and that is answer option A. Let's read the next question. Two numbers A and B are 15% and 35% less than C. What percentage is A more than B? Alright, so what's the answer to this question? The correct answer is option A, that is 31%. Right over here, A is 15% less than C. So we can say that A is equal to 85% of C. How do you get this 85? That's 1 minus 0.15, right? 0.15 is 15%. Alright, so A is equal to 0.85C, and similarly B is equal to 0.65C. That is 1 minus 0.35, right? That's how you get 0.65 over here. Now, what's the percentage more part over here? The percentage increase, that would be the difference divided by B, right? Because over here, it's how much percentage is A more than B. So that's why over here in the denominator we have B. So the comparison is with respect to B. The difference is 0.85C minus 0.65C. That's equal to 0.2C. And the value of B is 0.65C. And into 100 to get it in terms of percentage. That's 20 by 65 into 100, which is equal to 4 by 13 into 100. And that is approximately 30.7%. That is closest to answer option A, and therefore the answer to this question is option A.